Dawn. You don't touch the phone. You open your eyes as if they were ancient doors. You breathe in 3 slow waves. Wash your face as if brushing off centuries of dust. Bow and let your pride fall. Light a tiny flame to remember what matters. Repeat an ancient sound that polishes the edges of your mind. Savor a cup as if it were the world's first river, and before you leave, you offer an intention that no one suffers for your passing today. These 7 gestures align your day with wisdom and compassion, and they work now in this noisy city as they worked in monasteries that burned, in times of war and of silence. Why this is true morning decides the rhythm of thought. Those who wake in alarm chase the day. Those who wake in ritual make the day serve them. It isn't magic, simple mechanisms that tell your body there's no threat, your mind that it can look far, and your heart that it isn't alone. The modern world demands speed. These gestures return direction. They're brief. They fit in minutes, and each has a clear purpose: cleanse, center, remember, offer. No dogma or empty promises, just practice, and sustained practice becomes fate. Now the story begins. It isn't an ending, it's a threshold. Some mornings weigh like armor. We open them in a rush, strap on fear, and march. But there's another way. 7 keys born between mountains, crossing kingdoms, surviving fires. 7 threads to stitch your day from the inside. Right 1, threshold breathing. You wake, and before moving, you let the air find you. 3 swells. Inhale through the nose, slowly counting to 4, hold a beat, and release through the mouth as if exhaling winter mist. Again. A 3rd time. The bed is a dock, not a battlefield. The body learns not to rise from a jolt, but from consent. Image, a harbor at dawn, boats rocking. That sway is your chest. In ancient traditions they spoke of taming the horse of the mind, not with force but with rhythm. In Christian monasticism, at the start of Lauds, monks aligned with the breath. In Islam, Fajr opens the early morning with a calming cadence. In Judaism, Modeh Ani awakens gratitude before feet touch the floor. Different tongues, same window, the air reminding you that you are still here. Right 2. Water that undoes sleep. You rise without hurry and go to water, not hygiene, a small daily baptism. Wash face and hands as if removing layers of night. If you can, use a bowl. Pour water over your face 3 times. Once for the past that no longer rules, once for the fear inventing the future, once for the presence offered today. Water doesn't ask who you are, it receives you. Picture high monasteries, stone basins worn down by anonymous fingers, centuries of hands doing the same thing, water returning the real face. Even when history was hostile, temples burned, statues toppled, libraries lost. In the islands of the rising sun, in the year 1571, an army set a great mountain monastery ablaze. Blackened stones still remember. Yet the next dawn, somewhere, someone washed their face again. The rite survives because it depends on neither place nor permission. Rite 3. A bow that loosens pride. Now the body gives account, not to a judge, but to reality. Bend the torso. Let the forehead near the ground, or if you can't, press your palms together and lower your head. 3 bows, 3 landings. You're not humbling yourself, you're aligning. Think of a bow that must curve before it can shoot far. Those who've looked at wars know pride is dangerous fuel. In eras of crowns and swords, gestures of reverence taught a different strength. The strength that yields, so it doesn't break. In temples hidden in bamboo forests or in courtyards of red earth, this gesture softened whole nights of rigidity. Where persecutions and bans rose, the same movement became a secret act of resistance, bowing not to a tyrant, but to life. Rite 4. Light a point of flame, a candle, a lamp, a silenced screen-turned lighthouse, if that's all you have. Light a small flame and dedicate it. To a person, to a wounded place, To the part of you that asks for attention, not noise. The flame doesn't solve the world's darkness, but it contradicts it. When ancient travelers crossed mountain ranges to carry teachings from one realm to another, they hauled texts, but they always lit lamps. There were times of exile and pillage. Lamps with their humble glow endured. To light is a verb of hope. In Hindu homes, a diya opens festivals. In churches, a candle promises presence. In indigenous homes, fire gathers the ancestors. A quiet conviction. Every community that tends its light learns to tend another's. Rite 5, the sound that polishes the mind. Don't say its name yet. Hold it like a river stone on the tongue. An ancient sound, round, repeated in strands of breath. It can be a brief mantra, a vibrating syllable, a short verse of compassion. Repeat it again and again without demanding effects. Sound is a chisel. Strike softly, and the edges of thought give way. If you've ever sat in a cloister, on a creaking tatami, or on a terrace facing the desert, you know sacred sounds aren't superstition, they're tools. In the long night of history, when bells fell silent from fear and temples closed by decree, sound kept living in people's chests. No one can confiscate the inner voice. Later, I'll tell you the mantra that for centuries has been cloak and sword. Rite 6. Drink the world in a cup, brew tea or coffee as if writing a slow letter. Watch water embrace leaf or ground. Hear the simmer, smell the promise. Don't drink to wake up, drink to wake everything. A conscious sip turns the table into ceremony. There are stories of teachers who taught more with a cup than with a sermon. If you pour in a rush, you spill. If you breathe, it reveals. In a wind-swept archipelago, a ceremony turned tea into a path. Not luxury, rigor, simple kettles, rough bowls, an aesthetic that honored the crack. In another valley, caravans brought green leaves like mountain flags. In modern cities, a quiet cup can be the last place free of notifications. The sip is a vow. Today I won't live with a mouthful of hurry. Rite 7, offer before asking. Before emails, before the marketplace, you offer. It can be a directed thought. May everyone I meet today receive less of my shadow and more of my clarity. It can be a tiny act. Leave a kind note, yield the right of way, write to someone in pain. This is the seed that decides the forest of the day. In times of hunger, some monasteries shared harvests with nearby villages. When roads were unsafe, they sent medicine and bowls of soup. There were dark periods, regimes that banned gatherings, ideologies that distrusted the sacred. Still, the vow of compassion didn't go out. Because it doesn't belong to a religion, it belongs to the human part that won't bargain with another's dignity. Naming the unnameable, you've felt the weaving. Now you can know its name. This string of gestures, this map of mourning, springs from one source, Buddhism, a path that crossed more than 2 millennia, traveling from northern Indian valleys to Chinese and Japanese mountains, from Tibetan plateaus to Latin American cities where traffic lights compete with jacarandas. Each school gave it an accent. In Zen, sharpened silence. In the Tibetan tradition, visualization as architecture. In Theravada, luminous sobriety. But the pulse is one. Awaken without harming. Comparisons that clarify morning rites aren't exclusive. In the Benedictine tradition, the day opens with praise. In Sufi practice, the remembrance of the name crosses the dawn. In Jewish homes, fingertips are washed to sweep off sleep's haze. The common thread is ancient. Begin the day remembering you're not the center, but a part. The enemy we share, not a government or a flag. Noise made of screens competing for your attention, calendars turned cages, algorithms that know your fatigue and exploit it. Noise promises belonging but steals silence, gives stimulus but removes direction. These rites are an intimate politics, reclaiming sovereignty, not a renunciation of the world, but a way to inhabit it without burning out. Now give them skin, make them yours. Condensed practical guide. On waking, 3 deep, slow breaths. The chest is a dock. The jaw softens. Water over face and hands, 3 mindful pause. Imagine brushing dust off an ancient statue. A bow, 3 reverences or an equivalent gesture, the body learns to release. Light a candle or lamp, dedicate its glow to someone or something. Sound, repeat a brief mantra, a compassion verse, a focusing syllable. Conscious cup, prepare and drink without multitasking. 1 sip is a vow. Offering, choose in advance the smallest act of kindness and fulfill it. Stories of resistance that fit in a morning. In a mountain temple, after a fire during a civil war, only a blackened bowl remained. With that bowl, an old man kept pouring water at dawn. In a noisy capital neighborhood, a woman working night shifts breaks inertia with a candle by the sink. Her right lasts 2 minutes, her calm lasts all day. In an Andean town, a young man learned a mantra from a borrowed book. He repeated it walking between adobe huts and sleeping dogs. He had no mat or bell, but he had breath, and breath is enough. The science that nods in silence, numbers aren't required to understand this. But if you look, you will find slow breathing speaks to your nervous system and quiets inner sirens. The physical gesture of bowing releases stored tension. Morning soft light signals the internal clock that the day is safe. Repeated sound trains attention. Drinking without distraction teaches the brain to be here. The right is a human algorithm. Few steps, high impact. The mantra I promised. Many have used this phrase as a bridge. Om Mani Padme Hum. It's been chanted in caves, markets and buses snaking up hills. It translates and doesn't translate. Its sense is jewel in lotus, compassion in mud. You can repeat it softly in the space between chest and throat. If it doesn't resonate, choose another line that nears your better self. May all beings be free from suffering. The name matters less than the vibration that works. How not to turn it into a burden. Don't chase perfection. If you miss a day, return. If a rite doesn't fit, adapt. The heart of the path is continuity, not purity. Some teachers compared practice to fine rain. It doesn't drench at once, but in time, everything greens. If you can only keep 2 gestures, choose breath and offering. If you can keep them all, you'll have built a house in the dawn. A journey that crosses centuries. Imagine a 13th century pilgrim crossing mountains with texts wrapped in cloth. Imagine a monk on the high plateau, staring into a hard sky, fingering wooden beads. Imagine a woman in the Japan of warring states, sheltered under tin roofing, bowing to a lamp. Imagine someone today, you, in a small apartment, traffic biting at the edges of the day, all sharing the same brief map, 7 gestures like 7 bridges, the echo of other traditions. In the Gospels, morning is the hour of garden and open tomb. In Sufism, dawn smells like a repeated name. In indigenous songs, the first light calls the spirits of water. None of this competes, it harmonizes. What some words call enlightenment, others name grace, baraka, ruach. Language is surface, beneath it runs a current anyone can drink. Against cynicism, someone will say, will 7 gestures really change a broken world? They won't change the whole world. They change the agency with which you touch it. Great transformations began with intimate habits, a mother refusing to educate with shouting, a teacher choosing to listen, a merchant deciding not to lie. Those micro-decisions alter the weave. The right is a daily reminder of the kind of person you promised to be, the invisible thread, compassion. If I had to choose one word to hold all the rights, it would be compassion. Not soft tenderness, but intelligence that doesn't exclude. You inhale to be available, you wash to see clearly, you bow to disarm the ego, you light to remember, you intone to tune, you drink to honor matter, you offer to break the spell of the self. Everything points to the other, even when it all happens within. How to gauge the fruit without killing the tree. Don't seek rare experiences. Notice humbler signs. You respond more slowly to provocation. You tire less from noise. You feel less need to be right. It's easier to remember the forgotten. These are reliable tracks. There are no diplomas. There are bright days and crooked days. In both, the rights hold you. The map in one line: wake and breathe, cleanse as if lifting veils, bow to remember your true size, light a flame and dedicate it, sing a syllable that orders you, drink the world in a cup, offer something to someone. Repeat each morning until the gesture repeats you. You are not a consumer of days. You are a maker of dawns. Brief close. It isn't the sun that rises, it's you. And every morning, if you choose, you can do it with wisdom and compassion. Share this map with anyone who needs a wider dawn. If this companioned you, subscribe so we can keep a small lamp lit together.